all, welcome to Freshers World YouTube channel on jobs and careers. I am Shreya. Today I am going to talk about correct flow of introducing yourself in an interview. Any interview you go, interviewer asks, okay, tell me about yourself. So what things should come first when you are talking to your interviewer? I will be talking about that right now. Number one, start with your name. When you're talking about name, say with pride, I am Shreya Govind. My name is Shreya Govind. But never say myself Shreya Govind. Myself Shreya, myself Chaitanya is not a correct statement. You should always use my name is Shreya Govind or I am Shreya Govind. Second, talk about your place, from which place you belong to. When you're talking about your place, put an adjective to that place. I belong to Bangalore or I am from Bangalore. When you're talking about Bangalore, you say I am from Silicon City of India, that is Bangalore. I come from Silicon City of India, that is Bangalore. Or I come from Pink City of India, that is Jaipur. So use some adjective to that place which you come from. Don't say I belong to Bangalore. Don't say like that. Say it with proud that I am coming from Silicon City of India, that is Bangalore. Third, highest qualification. Just talk about two highest qualification. If you are a graduate, talk about your senior secondary and your graduation degree. If you are a postgraduate, talk about your graduation and your post-graduation. Don't just talk about your all the qualification which you have achieved till date. When you're talking about your highest qualification, what are the things you should include? Name of the institution, percentage if you have scored very well. Third, the subject which you majored in. If you are an engineering graduate, talk about that you have done your engineering in electrical engineering, computer engineering, like that. So talk about your subject you've majored in. Fourth, talk about your awards and achievement. Maybe you have received an award as a best student of the year. Then it can project to the employer that you were an outstanding student during your college. You were all-rounder, you were good in sports, you were good in academics. That will project to the employer. Then they may look at those things when you're talking about it. So talk about your awards and achievements which you received during your college. And also if you have done any diploma or further specialization in the subject which you were doing your graduation or engineering or MBA, talk about those specialization. For example, you were a computer engineering graduate. You have passed advanced Java course. Talk about that. I have done a certification in advanced Java. That may help employer to know about that, and if they are looking for Java person, they will hire you because they know that you are a Java professional and you have passed the certification course also. So talk about that during your highest qualification. Last thing, talk about your extracurricular activities which you were part of. For example, some coding event which you participated in the college, some basketball or cricket which you were excited about, because in corporates also we need people who are good in all areas: team management, teamwork, leader. So if you're good in sports, maybe you are cricket captain in your college team, so that can throw an idea to the employer that you were a good leader, you were a good captain. So those aspects can be looked at when you're talking about your extracurricular activities. Next thing to talk about is your skills and experience. If you're a person with some experience, 1 to 2 years or 2 to 3 years, talk about the experience which you have gained during your work. Talk about the achievements with your experience when you are working. And when you're talking about skills, you are a Java programmer. Talk about those skills when you're talking about your skills and experience. It doesn't matter if you talk skills first or experience first. It can be used in any sequence. You can talk about skills first and then experience. It can be done anyway. Next thing to talk about is your strength. People might think that should we talk about strength? But it is not mandatory that we should always talk about your strength. If the interviewer is asking about your strengths, then you should talk about your strength. What are the strengths you should talk about? You should never talk about the strengths which your friends or family say, oh, you are very good in this game, you are very good in taking care of your family. No, talk about the strength which is relevant to your job which you're applying. Talk about the strengths which should focus that you were a good leader, good team player. Talk about those aspects. Don't talk about the strengths, oh, I am very good in photography, I am very good football player. No, don't talk about those strengths. Those are extracurricular activities which you were good in. Talk about the strengths which are professional, which will add value to your career. So talk about the strengths which will be relevant to you. Weakness. We are not born perfect. No one is born perfect. Should we talk about weakness? If you are talking about your weakness, you are being honest to the interviewer. Interviewer will also feel that yes, that person is being honest to me. So talk about the weakness, but there is a trick. Don't talk about the weakness which will affect your job. Talk about the weakness which will not affect your job. For example, I get emotional. If I talk about this weakness, this will not affect my job. Yeah, be prepared with the answer if interviewers ask about how will you tackle when you are emotional. Be prepared with those answers also. Talk about the weakness which will help in your job. Don't talk about the weakness which will lower your experience, which will lower your self-esteem. So always talk about the weakness, but it should be always relevant, and it should not hamper your work experience, or it should not hamper your job. Speak about your family. In an interview, people do ask about your family background. So always mention when you're talking about yourself, about your family background, who are there in your family. If you're talking about your family, talk about your parents first, then your sibling. If you're married, talk about your spouse. If your spouse is working, mention about that your spouse works somewhere, mention about that also. And if you have kids, mention about that also. So it's important to talk about your family when you are introducing yourself. If you're not mentioning, then also that question is asked at the end of the interview. Last thing is about your hobby, whether you should include or not. Hobby, generally freshers do include their hobby when they are talking about themselves in an interview, but it is not at all mandatory to talk about your hobby, because when you're presenting your resume, your hobby is mentioned in your resume, but it's not at all required or relevant to talk about your hobby. But if interviewer asks about your hobby, talk about some relevant hobby which will help you getting a job, which will be relevant to the job which you're applying for. So concentrate on those things. When you're going for any interview, prepare all those things first. Don't just be unprepared, because the correct flow of introducing yourself will give you more confidence and help you to answer questions in the interview later. These questions are asked in an interview to check your communication skills and how confident you are about yourself. So prepare well, focus on the grammar, and answer all the questions in a sequential manner. If you do so, then you will have a solid and strong introduction, and your base for the whole interview will be set. So I would want you to please focus on these points when you're going for any interview. I hope all these points will help you in cracking any job interview, and I wish you all the best for the same. We are coming up with more videos. Please like my video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.